Have you ever wondered why being a nice guy doesn't always work? Why giving more, chasing harder, and trying to prove yourself can sometimes make her pull away? It feels confusing, right? You were told to always be kind, always be available, always give more. You were told that if you just showed her how much you cared, she would care back. But here's the truth. The more you chase, the more she runs. The more you give, without her earning it, the less she values you. The more you try to prove your worth, the more you show that you don't believe you're already worthy. This advice is everywhere. Movies, songs, social media. They say love is about doing everything for her, putting her first, making her your whole world. But that's not how deep attraction works. That's not how a woman stays drawn to you long term, and it's not how strong men live. The number one rule that makes women want you and stay wanting you is this. You must learn the power of detachment. Now don't get it twisted. Detachment doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean rude. And it's definitely not about playing games. Detachment is about inner strength. It's about not needing her to feel whole. It's about building a life so full, so rich, and so purposeful that your presence is powerful and your absence is even more powerful. See, when a man is always there, always giving, always trying to prove himself, it becomes too much, too easy, too available. It kills the mystery. It kills the desire. But when a man stands grounded in his mission, focused on his life, and at peace with who he is, women feel that. They feel drawn in. They wonder, what is it about him? They don't feel chased. They feel curious. They don't feel pressure. They feel pull. And that is where real attraction begins. Are you ready to learn how to become that kind of man? The kind of man who doesn't chase, but attracts. The kind of man who doesn't beg, but chooses. The kind of man who leads with peace, purpose, and quiet strength. This script is for you. Let's break it all down, piece by piece. But remember, this isn't about faking confidence or using tricks. This is about becoming the real deal. A man who doesn't need anyone to complete him, because he's already whole. Let's start with what doesn't work, and why the things you were taught might be the exact reasons you're getting hurt. Why chasing, giving, and proving yourself doesn't work. Let's talk about something that's been fed to men for years. You've heard it before. If you like her, show her. Don't play games. Text her all the time. Make her feel like she's your world. Prove to her that you're the best man out there. Sounds nice, right? It sounds kind, honest, noble. But here's the problem. It doesn't work. Not if you want long-term attraction, respect, and connection. Let's break it down. When you're always the one reaching out, when you're constantly giving attention, compliments, gifts, when you try to prove that you're better than other men by doing more, showing more, or being overly available, you actually send a very subtle message. And that message is, I don't believe I'm enough as I am. I need you to like me in order to feel valuable. Now, you're probably not saying that, But women feel it. They can sense it. And guess what? That energy, the energy of trying to earn her approval, kills attraction. It doesn't matter how nice your intentions are. It doesn't matter if your heart is pure. If you approach her like she's a prize to win, and you're just hoping she sees your worth, she'll feel the imbalance. She'll feel you leaning in too much. And instinctively, she'll lean away. It's human nature. When something is too available, we don't value it. Think about it. If someone gave you $100 every time you asked for it, over and over every day, you'd stop respecting it. You'd expect it. You'd take it for granted. The same thing happens in dating. If you give your attention too freely, it loses value. If you're always chasing, always giving, always trying to earn her, she stops wondering about you. She stops being curious about who you are. Instead, she starts thinking, why is he so eager? Why does he need my attention so badly? And that little question, that tiny shift in how she sees you, is all it takes to change everything. Now here's the thing. This doesn't mean you should be rude. It doesn't mean you stop caring. And it's not about withholding love just to create tension. It's about self-respect. It's about not chasing someone who hasn't earned a place in your life. It's about remembering this one rule. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone. Read that again. Let it sink in. You are not on this earth to audition for love. You are not here to convince someone to like you. You are here to grow, lead, build, and live fully, with or without anyone's approval. And when a woman sees a man who lives like that, a man who's not desperate for attention, a man who values himself so deeply, he doesn't throw his time or energy at anyone, a man who isn't chasing her, but instead inviting her into his strong, steady life. She feels it. She respects it. She's drawn to it, because that kind of energy is rare, and anything rare is valuable. That's why chasing doesn't work, because it comes from lack, from fear, from the need for approval. But you're not here to beg for love. You're here to become love, whole, strong, centered. That's the energy that attracts women, not just for a moment, but for the long run. How creating space naturally builds desire without playing games. Now that we understand why chasing and proving yourself doesn't work, let's look at something that does work. Something powerful, something subtle, something that most men don't understand. Creating space. Let's get one thing straight first. We're not talking about pulling back in a manipulative way. We're not talking about playing games or trying to make her miss you on purpose. That's not what this is about. This is about something much deeper, something real. It's about living a life that's already full, already meaningful, already moving with or without a woman in it. Because when you live like that, something very interesting happens. You don't try to create space. You naturally create space. You're busy with your goals. You're building something. You're focused on your body, your mind, your money, your future. You're not available 24/7. You don't drop everything the second she texts. Not because you're playing a role. Not because you're trying to act cool, but because you have a life that matters to you. And that space, the space between you and her, is where attraction starts to breathe. Think about it. We don't desire what we already have at all times. We desire what feels just out of reach, what we feel but don't fully possess yet. That's the tension. That's the spark. That's what draws a woman deeper into the experience of wanting you. Now let's compare two types of men. Man number one is always available. He texts back immediately, every time. He has no clear direction. He waits for her to make plans. He's always free, because he's not doing anything else. Man number two likes her. He respects her. But he has a mission. He has structure. He has time for her. But not all the time. His attention is earned, not handed out like a free sample at the mall. Who do you think she'll be more attracted to? The man who's always around? Or the man who she has to rise to meet? It's the second man, every time, because space creates mystery. Mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity leads to interest. And interest, when fed with calm masculine presence, turns into real desire. And here's the best part. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to impress, when you live in your own energy and let the world orbit around your mission, you feel peaceful. You're no longer anxious. You're no longer checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're no longer trying to get anything from anyone. You're just living. And when she enters your space, she feels that peace, that power, that calm fire. It's attractive, deeply attractive. Because women aren't drawn to men who are available to everyone. They're drawn to men who are centered in themselves and who have the backbone to not give themselves away so easily. And here's the truth you need to lock in your mind. You don't become more attractive by chasing her. You become more attractive by becoming more of yourself. By becoming so full of purpose, so engaged with your life, that the natural space you create becomes the very thing that makes her want to come closer. It's not a tactic. It's not a trick. It's the byproduct of being a man who doesn't need to be chased or do the chasing, because he's already becoming everything he was meant to be. So remember, give her space not by forcing it, but by filling your own life first. And she will feel it. She'll notice the absence. She'll wonder what you're doing, who you are, what's on your mind. And that's the exact place where desire is born. In mystery, in stillness, in presence. Why purpose makes you magnetic, and why women shouldn't be your purpose. Let's talk about something very important now. Purpose. This is the part a lot of men miss. It's not their fault. They were never taught this. In fact, most of the world teaches the exact opposite. You're told things like, just be nice, treat her like a queen, and she'll stay. Do everything for her, and she'll love you more. Make her your world, and she'll never leave. But here's the truth no one tells you. Women don't want to be your whole world. Yes, they want to be loved. Yes, they want to be cherished. Yes, They want to feel chosen, but they do not want to be the center of your existence. Because when a woman becomes your whole world, you stop being a world of your own. You lose your edge. You lose your power. You lose the very thing that made her want you in the first place. Let me explain. When a man has purpose, something shifts in the way he walks, talks, and carries himself. He moves with intention. He wakes up with a reason. He's not wandering around hoping someone picks him. He already picked himself. He already has a direction. And when a woman enters his life, she's not there to complete him. She's there to join him on the path he's already walking. She's not the destination. She's not the GPS. She's the passenger who wants to ride along because the road is already exciting, meaningful, and going somewhere. When a man lives with purpose, it does something amazing. It frees him. He no longer acts out of fear. He doesn't become needy. He doesn't panic if she doesn't respond right away. He doesn't try to please everyone because he knows who he is. He knows what he's building. He's not waiting for life to start once he has her. His life is already happening. And here's what happens to her when she sees that. She starts to lean in. She starts to admire. She starts to feel something rare in you that she doesn't feel in most men. Security, direction, masculine leadership. Not because you're trying to lead her in a forceful way, but because you're leading yourself. You know what's even more attractive than muscles or money? A man who knows why he wakes up in the morning. A man who doesn't make her his everything, because he already has something he lives for. Purpose makes a man hard to control, hard to distract, hard to manipulate, and that makes him rare. And what is rare is valuable. Look around. Most guys are drifting. They sit around scrolling, waiting for the weekend, waiting for a woman to fill the hole in their chest, waiting for someone to save them from the boredom of their own lives. But not the man with purpose. He doesn't wait. He moves. He doesn't chase, because he's already being chased by his own mission. He doesn't overgive, because his energy is precious, and he guards it with discipline. And the woman who gets to be part of that life, she feels chosen, but she also feels inspired. Because when you're deeply in tune with your own mission, you become the kind of man who lifts the world around him. You don't just attract a woman, you pull her upward by the gravity of your direction. And that's what creates deep long-term attraction. Not looks, not money, not fancy cars, but a man who moves with meaning. So let's make this very clear. Your purpose is not to be liked. Your purpose is not to win her over. Your purpose is not to make someone else feel whole. Your purpose is to find your path and walk it with strength, honesty, and vision. That is what makes a woman want you for the long haul. Not because she completes your life, but because your life is already so full. She wants to be part of it. The power of scarcity. Why being less available makes you more desirable. Let's talk about something most men completely overlook. Scarcity. Now that word might sound a little strange at first, but stay with me. Because this is one of the biggest secrets behind long-term attraction. Let me ask you something simple. What happens when something is always there, always available, always easy to get, always ready whenever someone wants it? It loses value. People start to take it for granted. It's not because they're bad people. It's just how the human brain works. The more something is everywhere, the less special it feels. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite food, the one you crave when you're really hungry. Now imagine you could eat it all day, every day. No waiting, no effort. After a while, it wouldn't taste that great anymore, right? Because when something is always available, your brain stops seeing it as exciting or rare. Now, let's bring this back to attraction. A lot of guys, good guys, make this mistake in relationships. They think being constantly available is the right move. They text back in seconds. They're always free. They cancel plans to be with her. They drop everything the second she calls. They think, this will show her I care. But what they don't realize is this. Over-availability kills mystery, kills attraction, kills desire. It doesn't make you look loving. It makes you look too eager, too empty, too ready to give your whole life away for a little attention. And when that happens, something dangerous starts to grow in her mind. She starts to lose respect. Not because you're a bad guy, but because you made yourself too easy to get. Remember, women are attracted to value, and value is directly tied to scarcity. Look at diamonds. Look at gold. Look at anything people are willing to pay a high price for. What do all those things have in common? They're not lying around everywhere. You can't just pick them up on the sidewalk. They're hard to find. They take effort to access. And that effort is part of what makes them feel valuable. It's the same with your time, your energy, and your presence. When you are constantly available, constantly texting, constantly trying to stay in her mind, you lose the very thing that would have made her want to think about you. The space, the distance, the mystery. Now let's be clear. This doesn't mean you should ignore her or play some weird game. This isn't about pretending you're busy or making her chase you. This is about actually having a life that you prioritize. A life that includes your goals, your mission, your body, your growth, your hobbies, your friends, your peace. When your life is full, you don't have to act like you're unavailable. You naturally are. You're not just sitting around waiting for a text. You're not dropping everything to prove how much you care. You're not chasing. You are living. And the more you live with that kind of self-focus and direction, the more attractive you become. Not in a fake way, not in a manipulative way, in a magnetic way. Because here's the truth. When a man is rare, his presence feels special. And when his time is precious, his attention feels valuable. You become someone she can't stop thinking about. Not because you're forcing her to, but because you gave her space to miss you. Most men don't give women the gift of absence. They're so scared to be out of her mind for 5 minutes. They make sure they're always present. But when you're always there, she never gets the chance to feel what it's like when you're not. And desire grows in that space. It grows in the gaps, in the silences, in the moments when she wonders what you're doing, who you're becoming, what you're building. That curiosity, that little ache, that's the seed of long-term attraction. And it only grows when you're not constantly filling every space with attention and availability. So remember this, you don't need to do more to be desired. You often need to do less and just be more focused, more grounded, more unavailable, because your life is just that full. Emotional mastery, calm, is a superpower. Let's talk about something most men were never taught. Emotional control. Not hiding emotions, not ignoring emotions, not pretending to be a robot, but mastering emotions. See, a lot of people think that being a real man means never feeling anything. They think it means being cold, distant, or tough all the time. But that's not power. That's fear hiding behind a mask. A truly powerful man feels things deeply, but he doesn't let those feelings control him. He doesn't act from emotion. He responds with reason. This is called emotional mastery. It's one of the strongest traits a man can ever have. Let's break it down. Imagine something frustrating happens in your life. Maybe a woman pulls away, a job doesn't go as planned, or someone disrespects you. Most people, they react fast. They get angry, they lash out, they beg, argue, panic, or try to control the situation. But a man who has emotional control, he breathes. He takes a step back. He watches how he feels without acting on it too fast. He says, "Okay, I feel this. That's fine. But now, what's the right move?" And that move? It comes from strength, not fear. That's what women notice. Not the man who never gets emotional, but the man who doesn't get led by his emotions. That kind of calm is magnetic. Why? Because the world is full of chaos. And when a woman sees a man who can stay centered in the storm, who can stay calm when others are losing their heads, she feels safe. She feels respect. She feels drawn in because that calm energy is rare. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean you become numb. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you take your time. You observe. You speak with purpose, not just from pain. You stay rooted in your values, even when emotions try to pull you away. And here's the truth. When you master your emotions, you unlock real power. Because emotions are not the enemy. They're signals, not commands. They're like weather, always changing, always moving. But you are the mountain. And the mountain doesn't move for the storm. So what does emotional mastery look like in real life? When a woman pulls back, you don't chase. You hold your ground. When someone disrespects you, you don't explode. You respond with strength and clarity. When things go wrong, you don't fall apart. You adapt and rebuild. You lead yourself first, and that makes others want to follow your lead. And here's a secret. The more you master your emotions, the more peace you'll feel inside. You won't get pulled in every direction. You won't feel lost when things shift. You won't be scared to lose someone because you're grounded in yourself. This creates freedom. This creates power. This creates peace. And when a woman senses this in you, she doesn't just get attracted, she gets curious. She starts wondering, how does he stay so grounded? Why doesn't he need my attention all the time? Why does he feel so strong even when he's silent? The answer? You're not chasing validation. You're not controlled by chaos. You are calm. You are clear. You are focused on what matters. And that energy makes her feel something real. Not just excitement, but respect. Not just fun, but admiration. That's the kind of man she wants to be around long term. So here's the truth. When you master your emotions, you don't just attract women. You attract peaceful women. You attract healthy relationships. You attract respect from everyone. Because your calm becomes your code. And it all starts with one simple habit. Pause before you react. Let the emotion rise. Let it pass. Then choose your response from your higher self, not your wounded self. That's the mark of a king. And that's the man you're becoming.